Hi everyone, my name is Anna and welcome to Cactus Caffeine, where I share with you my passion of growing cactus and other desert plants in a desert environment over a cup of coffee. So tonight, actually it is 8 o'clock at night, so excuse the poor lighting of this video. It is summer and it is so hot. This is the only time that I go out in my backyard. And as you can see, even though it's 8 o'clock, it is still 100 degrees Fahrenheit at about 5 or 6% humidity. So I have been asked questions from viewers how my cacti are doing despite this heat that we've been having here in Las Vegas. So let me start off by showing you my epiphyllums or epiphyllums. These are the orchid cactus. So as you all know, guys, these are tropical cactus, so they hate the heat. But these guys here are actually in 100% shade already, shade cloth, so they do not get direct sunlight anymore, and it is just bright light. So far this has been coping up very good. Well, the leaves are thin, but at least, you know, they're still growing and they're still upright. There's just some that did not make it right here, so the little ones dried up, but most of it are still good. The other one here, same thing. So they're thin, but still, you know, they're more in the yellow green color than green. But as I said, these are just getting bright shade. But the ones at the back, I noticed all the ones at the back dried up, and I don't know why, because I think why this part here dried up is because of the heat that's generated by this wall. So I think it's a combination of the heat and maybe partially the glare from the windows, like the sun reflection, I mean. So I think that's what caused the browning of the ones at the back, because everything that's in front, as you can see, are all better looking than the ones at the back. And then for this one, this is my Rickrack Cactus. This is a surprise because this one is holding up pretty well. You know, the leaves are not as fat as they used to be, but it is holding pretty well. That I forgot, what is this? Is this a burro's tail or donkey's tail? I don't know, but yeah, it's looking pretty sad. And then this rack is where I keep most of my seedlings, but as you can see, I have less here now because most of them I moved inside under a grow light or by a window. So most of my seedlings are not happy with the heat that we are having, so I moved them, most of them, indoors. My cacti right now are not looking their best, so many of them look dehydrated despite being watered regularly. So I can say that right now my cacti again are in a dormant state. So here in the desert, my cacti goes through a dormant state twice a year. That is during the winter when it is very, very cold, and once again during the height of the summer. So when it is very hot, I noticed that they go through another state of dormancy. Now what happens is, despite being watered, the cacti doesn't really take so much of the water, so they remain looking dehydrated despite being watered. Some of them still manages to push out blooms. You gotta give them credit for that. But yeah, most of them are looking really sad right now, very dehydrated. As a matter of fact, I already lost 2 cacti this summer due to root rot. Yes, they experience root rot during the summer, and that is because it is really very difficult during the summertime for me. It is difficult to tell whether they need water or they're just dormant. So what happens is, if they are dormant and I water them, the roots do not take up the water and they end up having a root rot. So for me, summer is more difficult than winter, because at winter I do not water them. I do not water 90% of my cacti, but during summer it is so difficult to know if you need to water them or just leave them alone. So if I do not water them, some of them end up getting too dehydrated and not making it either. So it is very, very difficult, and it's more challenging for me during the summer. And speaking of having root rot during the winter, as I was inspecting my cactus, I see this one. I'm afraid I have another casualty here because it's soft and mushy, so I would have to take that out again, but I'm afraid that one is also having a root rot. Right now I am watering my cacti 1 to 2 times per week, so some of them gets water once a week, especially those that are still in plastic containers, and some of them get water twice a week. So as you can see, I have buckets filled with water. So I have a few near where I have my cacti. So I have another one there, and then another bucket here. So what I do is I fill it up with water and then I let it stand, because I use tap water. So I let them stand for the chlorine to evaporate. So much as I would like to use rainwater, rain is very scarce here in the desert. As a matter of fact, it is July right now, and the last rainfall that we had, I don't actually remember when, so I had to look it up, and I found out through the internet that the last rainfall that Las Vegas had was way back in April, and it was less than an inch rainfall. So I would say it was just a drizzle. So much as I want to collect rainwater, I could not, so I have to use tap water. So the very least thing that I can do is let them stand for a few days there, let the chlorine evaporate, and that's what I use to water my plants. So surprisingly, you can see here my haworthias. I was expecting these haworthias to look more sad than they do right now, but surprisingly they are holding pretty well with the heat. Although these haworthias are in almost 100% shade, bright shade, I would say, at least they're holding up their shade. So look at this one. This is my Euphorbia Pisani. So I got this last year. This was part of my most expensive plant haul. So I was scared because during winter it lost all its variegated leaves, but I am happy that during spring and summer it recovered, and again it developed its variegated leaves. So this is a variegated Euphorbia Pisani. So here is one cactus that I bare root yesterday because it was shriveling up too fast despite being watered, and I was scared that it was having a root rot, so I took it out of its pot. But fortunately the roots are fine. The bottom is hard, so it is just sleeping this summer. So despite being watered, it is very, very dehydrated. So I'll just put this back in the pot and just let it be, water it as I do. Oh, and by the way, I just made another order from Planet Desert. So look at that. This is a Lobevia. I am always happy when I order from them because look at this one. I got a clump and it has been flowering. So they sent me one that is already flowering. I see more buds underneath, but I am so happy because look at that clump. The only ones that don't seem to be suffering from the heat are my Apuntias. They are all looking very, very well. Although this is under a 50% shade cloth right there. But this section is the hottest part of my garden. So this gets full sun about 8 to 9 hours a day. So this is the most hottest part of my garden. As you can see, I protected my totem pole with a shade cloth, as well as this is an agave, so I've been babying my agave. I threw a shade cloth over it just to prevent it from having burn marks. But look at my opuntias. They're all seem to not be bothered by the heat at all. And these are my big opuntia in the ground in the other section of my garden. See, they are all looking very good, very plump, and they are actually still developing new growth. So the opuntias don't seem to mind the heat. But look at this agave. This is a blue glow agave. So as you can see, it is yellow. So the sun is really taking a toll on this agave, but I leave it here. That always happens during the summer, but then during the fall and winter it turns back to its green and bluish green color. So I am going to wrap up my video right now because it is getting dark, and I just would like to thank everybody for all your support as I am making this video. We just hit 16,000 subscribers, and I am just overwhelmed by your support, and I thank you all very much for it. Alright guys, so if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you like cactus and other desert plants. So until my next video again guys, bye and cheers.